Hey, what's up, DIYers? Mike Boards with the Mike Boards channel. Thank you for watching. We're talking jet skis again today, working on my parents' 2003 Sea-Doo GTX, and it has a 951 DI or direct injection engine. We're going to replace the coolant temp sensor. We have two of them. We're going to focus on the one that goes into and secures to the top portion of the engine directly behind the fuel injection distributor. Let's get started. Alright DIYers, hey, real quick, before we head to the workstation and begin the project, I did want to hit the computer and show you our diagram. And right now we're looking at the electrical diagram or schematic. And here you can see the engine. Down here you can see the battery cables feeding to our electrical box, the spark plug wires feeding up to the plugs. And right here, that is our coolant temp sensor, and it is going to be fed in right behind the fuel distributor near the actual spark plugs. And I wanted to show you this image before we start the project because in our case we have two coolant temp sensors that, believe it or not, are the same exact part number. And again, right now we are referencing the electrical system. Let me head to the exhaust and muffler diagram so I can show you the exact location where our second coolant temp sensor is installed. However, real quick again, we are replacing this coolant temp sensor right here, and it is on the top portion of the engine directly behind the fuel distributor near the spark plugs. Let's now take a look at the exhaust and muffler diagram. And DIYers, here we are, and here is the engine. You see the exhaust pipe, and here's the lower pipe, here's the upper pipe that feeds into the exhaust manifold up top, and coming down below here is the entire muffler and exhaust system. And right here, feeding in toward the lower pipe and lower coupler, in our case ours is orange, and here are two clamps. Down here is another coolant temp sensor, and again the exact same part number. We are not replacing this coolant temp sensor in this video. Again, we are replacing the one up top on the engine. However, for your convenience, scrolling above right now as well as down below in the comment section and description section will be a link that takes you directly to the video that shows you the step-by-step process on how to properly and safely replace that coolant temp sensor. So again, I just wanted to show you that. However, from here, let's head to the workstation. Alright DIYers, here we are. Check this out. We're at the workstation, and on the opposite end or side of the jet ski is our workstation or workbench. And this is my mom and dad's 2003 Sea-Doo GTX in-house for DIY repair videos. And we are going to go inside the hull here shortly and again replace one of the coolant temp sensors. Let's hop to the bench. Making our way around the jet ski, and we are always non-stop busy here, as you see. And again, 2003 Sea-Doo GTX 2-cycle direct injection. It is extremely important to reference your exact serial number service manual. And we've got a couple schematics. And again, you just saw this on the computer. And I want to show you the temp sensor that is installed in the rear portion of the hull. Look how dirty that is. Let me set that down. Check that out. That is extremely corroded and gunked up. How is this supposed to work when it is that dirty? However, well, chances are this has been installed inside that jet ski for over 20 years. And there is the part number. Again, exact same part number for the temp sensor that is located downstream near the aft portion of the jet ski, as well as this one right here that is going to feed into the top portion of the engine, which here shortly you will see is a little tough to get to, but that's okay. We are going to walk you through it. And it can be found behind our actual fuel distributor, basically a large housing. Let's go inside the hull and take a look. Taking a big step back, we are now port side of the jet ski, and we are going to carefully remove our seats. And in several videos I have showed this. That is our latch, and notice it is not making any unfriendly sounds, and that is because we have properly lubricated it. Long story short, if you do not properly lubricate your latches, we've got one here, that seat in the storage compartment up front, well, they're going to stiffen up, make a bunch of unfriendly sounds, and then finally break, and that's not what you want. And down below is a link to a video where we show you how to properly lubricate it, but if it's already broken, below that link will be a link showing replacement of a latch. However, again, no unfriendly sounds. Let's go and remove our seats. And I did just that. And let's go inside the hull of the jet ski. And right there is our direct fuel injection distributor, or the entire unit. And on top you've got two fuel injectors. Those are the burgundy or magenta colored things there. In addition, you've got a fuel regulator, an air regulator, and down below you have two direct air injectors that we have already replaced. And you've got your spark plug boots that go on their respective spark plugs. I will remove this, set that aside. And coming into the aft portion of the jet ski, here is our electrical box. We have replaced several parts inside there, including both ignition coils and the starter relay. And right there is the temp sensor. Let me scroll in right there. And there it is, DIYers. Again, that has already been replaced, and what a difference from the new one compared to the old one. The new one is extremely clean and ready to get to work, while the old one, as you just saw on the bench, is extremely dirty and basically not working as designed. However, again, referencing our direct fuel injection distributor, in other words, this entire black housing, behind it, you can maybe see it through here, but behind it is the sensor. And I'll come down here just to give you a view of it. And there it is, right there. However, coming back out here, I will give you a better view of it, I believe, right in here. And there it is. You can see the portion of the sensor that the wrench will fit onto to loosen it up, remove it, and then tighten the new one in place. And again, DIYers, a very tight fit in the event that you move forward with replacing that sensor without moving or disconnecting any portion of this fuel injection system. And really, that's all of our goals, right? We don't want to mess with this. However, we have removed this and we have replaced every single part in this distributor. And those links will be down below. Again, both fuel injectors and both regulators and both air injectors down below. We're back to the workbench. I want to talk about the wrenches, and this is a 3/4 inch Craftsman wrench, as you see, and it's almost 10 inches long, and unfortunately will not fit into that area behind the fuel injection system and distributor to allow us to unscrew the old temp sensor to remove it. So I actually had to revert to an 8-inch adjustable wrench as shown here. That, again, I can adjust. What I'll do is I will grab the old sensor that was in the aft portion of the jet ski, and I will basically size it. And they are the exact same part numbers. And now my adjustable wrench is properly set for the sensor that we will be removing behind that distributor. From here, let's go back into the hull and get that thing removed. Back port side of the jet ski coming inside the hull, and I will be honest, it's going to be very difficult to get my hand and the wrench as well as the camera behind that distributor and give you a really good shot or view of me unscrewing and removing that temp sensor. So what I'll do right now is show you a picture of what it looks like behind that distributor. Again, I can get the camera back there, but once I get the camera back there, there is absolutely no room or clearance for me to get my hand and wrench back there to remove that sensor. So again, I'll take a quick photo and give you a better view of what it looks like behind that distributor. And then I'll place the camera basically right on top of the engine, and we'll try to get a view of it between the two engine portions below the distributor. However, I am going to remove the spark plug boot from the plug to again give you a better view. Alright, DIYers, here we are back inside the hull, and camera-wise, we're sitting on top of the engine looking at the bottom portion of the fuel injection distributor. And I'm going to carefully come to the back and remove that electrical connection that I just showed you. And again, be patient. This is a very unfriendly location and position, and all I'm doing is pressing in that tension tab to release the lock and simultaneously pulling up on the connection. And the connection point is off. I'll set that aside. And from here, the adjustable wrench. From here, I'm on and just carefully again counterclockwise turn. And it's important to know that this sensor is held and locked in place with Loctite 518, so it might put up a fight in regards to being loosened, but that's okay, just be patient. There we go. As you can see, it is loosened just slightly, and I'll pull it off. And again, because it's held on by Loctite 518, what I recommend doing is once you get it loosened ever so slightly, go ahead and retighten it, because by doing that, you can alleviate breaking the threaded portion and sensor portion inside the engine. That's the last thing you want. So again, I'll tighten it by turning it clockwise slightly and back to counterclockwise to loosen it. And back to tightening it. And back to loosening it. Back to tightening it, to loosening it. Reset the wrench. Back to tightening it. And again, we're doing this to alleviate the actual sensor from snapping in two. What a nightmare that would be. Back to loosening. Tightening. Loosening. Reset the wrench. And it's getting loose, which is nice. Reset the wrench again. And just be very careful and cautious behind the distributor at that low point where that sensor is. There's additional parts that feed into the distributor. You don't want to harm those. And again, DIYers, as you can see, it is very inconvenient to do this with the distributor connected to the engine. We had it off at one point, however, we wanted to show you how to replace this without removing it, so we chose not to replace it when this distributor was off. And our goal is to, again, be patient, don't damage anything in the process, and get it to a point where we can then loosen it by hand. That'll be a lot easier. And DIYers, as you see, we're making progress, and a bit of advice. Again, a very awkward angle if you're doing it this way. And depending on if you're using your left hand or right hand and arm, you might get tired. To alleviate you dropping the wrench down underneath the engine where it's impossible to get, go ahead and take a break and allow your hand and arm to regenerate your power and strength. DIYers, there's the sensor. Once you get that sensor out, I'm going to go back in with some paper towel and basically clean the entire mating surface and hole, and clean up or dry up anything that leaked. Back to the workbench, and that is the temp sensor we just removed, and its condition, again, you can see it's very dirty. And there is the sensor that we removed from the aft portion of the hull. Let's go grab the brand new sensor. And here it is, brand new part. You can see the part number. It is the exact same as the sensor we replaced in the aft portion of the hull. And again, there is a comparison. That one was on top of the engine, and that one was downstream near the electrical box in the exhaust. And what we'll do is turn this over so we can see the brand new sensor. What a difference, right? We'll go ahead and open that up. And here it is, brand new sensor, unpackaged. What a difference, as I've mentioned. And from here, what we're going to do is apply Loctite 518 to the thread. Again, our exact serial number service manual calls for Loctite 518, not Loctite 243, not Loctite 271, not Loctite 680. But again, right here, you can see number 4, kind of looks like a little water drop. And in the service manual, again, Loctite 518. I'll reposition the camera, we'll apply it to that thread, go back inside the hull and get that brand new sensor installed. Again, Loctite 518 down below in the comment section, as well as the description section will be a link on where to purchase this. You don't need a lot, just a small little tube like this. I'll set that aside, take the cap off, and do your absolute best not to get messy with this. And all I'm going to do again is apply just a little bit of Loctite to the thread, as shown here. Cap it off. And you've got that washer. Do your absolute best to get 0 Loctite 518 on the actual probe. If you get any of that Loctite on the actual probe, get that off there. Let's go back in the hull and get this thing installed. Back inside the hull, cleaning the surface once again, drying it up before I install that sensor. From here, coming back inside, and do your absolute best not to allow the sensor and that Loctite to get all over everything. An extremely important part or step: do not cross thread this sensor into the engine block. That would not be good. As you can see, It is going in extremely easily by hand. If it's not, go ahead and stop. Unscrew it by turning it counterclockwise, and then reset the thread and turn it clockwise to again hand tighten it. At this point, it is hand tight. I'm going to revert back to that adjustable wrench and tighten it. And like before, just be patient. Do not damage anything as you tighten this into place. Now hopefully to a close-up view, as you see right there. And one of the cool things about installing it is that Loctite has not set, and the previous sensor or old sensor that just came out, that Loctite that was applied years ago, honestly 20 years ago, it was set and cured and made it very tough to get that sensor out. However, again, the brand new Loctite is not cured or set, and it makes it extremely easy and friendly to hand tighten that sensor all the way in, basically flush with the engine. And then all it takes is just a couple turns with the wrench, and that sensor is secured. What I'll do is secure the electrical connection, and then I'll do my best to give you a good view of the back portion where the sensor is. Taking a step back, we are back out on top of the engine and the opposite side of the injection distributor. And what I'm going to do, just double check everything. I'll grab my spark plug boot and re-secure it to its respective plug. And align it properly. Don't damage it. Push it down until you have ensured it is properly secured. And again, double check everything. Make sure you're not leaving any tools behind or flashlights anywhere inside the hull. And at that point, the project is complete, minus the few additional items of re-securing the battery and seats. However, hey DIYers, in the event that you have lack of acceleration or degraded engine performance, again, this is a direct fuel injection and it operates with fuel and air. In other words, these are fuel injectors. And this right here is a fuel regulator, and this right here is an air regulator. And down below, you've got two direct air injectors. And the fuel lines feeding into the distributor have a rubber O-ring. And in the event that those O-rings give way or dry rot or begin leaking over the years, which they will, you will have low compression because, again, that whole injection distributor regulates the fuel and air into the engine. And let me out to the opposite side. And again, right here, you have an additional line feeding into the distributor, and again, a rubber O-ring inside there. So again, in the event that you have lack of acceleration or bogging down engine, you might have low compression. So if that's your case and you have visible fuel leakage right in this section or that other fitting, it's time to replace those O-rings. And hey, down below in the comment section as well as the description section will be a link on how to do that. That is very important to the operation and performance acceleration wise to your engine. And we will show you how to remove this screw, pull the fuel lines out, have a bunch of paper towel down here, remove the old O-rings, install brand new O-rings, and re-secure that fuel tight and airtight seal on that distributor. So again, from here, go ahead and re-secure your battery, re-secure your seats, and that completes the project. And we did just that. Everything is re-secured. And also down below in the comment section as well as description section, hey, a lot of helpful videos. We replaced the cover sleeve of our step. Brand new OEM. And again, lubricate and replace latches. We even replaced this latch right here, which is spring loaded. And the start stop cap and the start stop push button and wiring kit that feeds downstream. And the starter, ignition coils, plugs, and more. And again, as always, DIYers, we hope this helps. Hey, do us a favor below the video. You will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. Would really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching.